and welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would do something a little bit different to usual. Instead of my usual vlog here on this channel, I thought I'd sit down and have a chat with you about a few of my favourite things for when Boone was a newborn. Okay, so getting started with what I think was probably the most useful one was this book here. This is called Cherish the First 6 Weeks, and it's by the author Helen Moon, who's like I think she's like a celebrity like nanny, but if you can just overlook that cheesy factor, it is a really good book. So this is all about getting your baby onto a schedule, which I know is a slightly controversial subject because some people don't believe that scheduling works and don't believe that you should schedule a baby. So it's up to you to decide. There's no right and wrong really, but we used basically the plan that was in this book and it worked really well for us. I know some people say that like in terms of getting a baby to sleep for long periods of time, some babies just do it, some babies just don't. So I guess you never know whether it's the scheduling or not. You can never 100% say, but as I said, this worked really well for us. It's a really good concept actually. So it works around the idea that when your baby cries because he's hungry, he's already really hungry, and because he's so hungry, hasn't got much energy and he's feeling quite weak, which means he'll eat enough to satisfy his immediate hunger and then stop and kind of fall asleep. And you get into this cycle where the baby gets very hungry, satisfies their immediate hunger, stops, and then goes back to sleep. So this is kind of about pushing them to have a little bit more and just get them to fill up their belly as much as you possibly can. I mean, all newborns fall asleep when you're trying to feed them, but one thing we did that really helped was started the feed. When he fell asleep, we'd go and change his nappy, which woke him up, and then feed him again until he fell asleep. So we were doing like kind of like a half an hour to 40-minute feed, and then doing that every 2.5 hours during the day and then every 3 hours at night. And yes, that did mean setting an alarm during the night, waking up a sleeping baby and feeding him. And I know that sounds crazy, and I know there's an old saying that's like never wake a sleeping baby or something like that, but we did this and it worked for us. And by the time he was like 3.5 to 4 weeks old, he was sleeping from like 10:30 at night till about 4 in the morning, which doesn't sound like very long, but for a baby of that age it's really good. Like they have a plan for like each week in this book, and you can't expect to be right on track with each week every week. So by the time Boone was 3 or 4 weeks, he was already doing like the 5-week plan, so he was a bit ahead. But then it took him all the way up until he was like 8 or 10 weeks old before he was actually doing the 6-week plan. So you just kind of have to target it towards you. Another thing this book talks a lot about is swaddling, and how it really helps that kind of reflex action. So babies have a tendency to like jerk their like arms and legs about while they're sleeping because their nervous system is still quite immature, and that kind of startles them and wakes them up. So by swaddling them tightly, it stops them doing that and it really helps them stay asleep. But I'll talk more about swaddling in a minute. So anyway, I mean, I could talk for like hours and hours about this book and how good it is. If it sounds like it appeals to you, go out and get it and give it a read and see what you think. You can always take some parts of it and to use and not others. That's what we did. We didn't use everything in the book, just like most things. That was a recommendation from a friend of ours who'd recently had a baby, so this is not in any way like a sponsored thing. The swaddle. So you can obviously just swaddle babies in like a cloth, like a swaddling muslin, or swaddling square I think they're called, but these things make it so much easier. This is just called, I think they're called like swaddle pockets, and you can get them like online in lots of different places. I got this one from TK Maxx. So this one is age 0 to 3 months, which he's outgrown, and the one he is using at the moment is 3 to 6 months, which he's fast asleep in right now, so I'm not going to show you that. But basically it looks a little bit like this, and you lie it flat on the baby's cot, you lie them down here, pop their legs into this little pocket and lift that up, and then here, I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of Velcro, so you put their arms in and then you fold that across and it's got Velcro on, and then you fold the other side. I'm not doing a very good job demonstrating it. But basically, what you end up with is a Velcroed baby with just a head popping out, and it just looks so cute. But yeah, as I said, it keeps their arms strapped down and it really stops them from like startling themselves awake. But that said, you do have to like do it up quite tight, because if it gets loose and they wriggle free, it does wake them up. And I know it is another thing to kind of wean them off, but I found in those early weeks, he just slept so well that I think it's worth it. We're trying to wean him off it at the moment, so we're doing like one arm out, which we're going to do for like about a week or so, then we're going to do both arms out, and then we're going to switch to the grow bag. So I'll probably update you at some point on how that's going, but it seems to be going well so far. Hi, so I thought I'd quickly interrupt this video with this little clip here to show you the other swaddle. Boone's just woken up from his nap. He's rather a cranky pant. As I said, he's got one arm in the swaddle and one arm out of the swaddle. This one is a very, very cute one. It's got a little face at the bottom and an even cuter face at the top. This one's from TK Maxx as well. This is the age 3 to 6 months. So yeah, you just take the Velcro off like this and pull him out of the pocket. Say hello. So the next thing is a really obvious one, but baby grows, as we call them in England, or onesies if you're American, which I realise is catching on. I know this is an obvious one, and I know like you're probably thinking, oh, onesies, well everyone gets those for babies, but actually in the first few weeks he pretty much just wore these. Like it's all well and good having these like cute outfits like dungarees and things with buttons and things with collars, but they're just not practical. When you have a tiny baby, you're changing them like every couple of hours, you're feeding them every couple of hours, they're falling asleep every couple of hours. So unless you're actually like going out and you want them to look nice for a particular event or for photos or whatever, I think in terms of when your baby's sleeping, always have them in a baby grow. Because we found that anytime he had on something that had a collar, it would just like flick up and go in his mouth and like tickle his chin, and he was kind of rooting on it, and then getting frustrated when there was no milk appearing, and it was just getting him frustrated, upset, and waking him up. So something as simple as like your baby being in an outfit with a collar on can really hinder your sleep. Things with like dungarees with the little flappy bits here can like flick up and hit his chin, and just generally things like that. You don't need the stress. I mean, if you're going out for a few hours to do something nice, by all means put him in his cute outfit, but when you're at home and when you're just trying to like survive, it's all about the baby grows. The next thing is probably another fairly obvious one. It is the Boppy, which I only realised recently that like Boppy is the name of the brand rather than the actual pillow, but I think quite a few brands do them, but the Boppy is the original one, and I do think it's worth a little bit extra money because it's quite firm. Like when I was staying in the hospital, they gave us like fake Boppies, if you want to call them that, and they were quite like squidgy and thin like pillows, so when you put the baby on them, the baby just kind of sunk down into it, which is not really the point. So if you don't know what this is, it is a kind of like a cushion in the shape of like a U, and you put this bit around your waist like that, and you lay your baby on top of it, and it makes them the perfect height to breastfeed, which is fantastic because if you don't have something like that, you really end up killing your shoulders and your upper back and your neck, like holding the baby while you're breastfeeding, and particularly if your baby is cluster feeding, which mine did. They can be feeding for like hours and hours and hours, and you just have to kind of sit there. So it was really good for that, and this Boppy really holds the baby on top. They're about £30, but I think, as I said, they're so worth it rather than getting like a fake one. It's great for breastfeeding, obviously, but it's also great if you're bottle feeding, because even when you're bottle feeding, you kind of are in that position where you're holding the baby up, getting their neck in the right position, holding the bottle with the other hand, and you can find that you get, you know, a little bit of discomfort. So even just bottle feeding is perfect for that too. And it's great if you're like, if you want to like watch TV while you're feeding the baby, or you want to eat your dinner, or you know, it just gives you that little bit of extra freedom. You can get like lots of different prints, and there's a zip, so you can take the cover off and wash it, which you will definitely need to do very often. This has had like spit up and puke and poo and wee and all kinds on it, and of course breast milk. And the next thing is rather awkward to hold up, as you can see. It is one of these bouncy chairs. That's just basically a little chair that you put your baby into. It's got like a kind of like a pair of pants on it that you use to hold the baby in, so it's very secure, the baby can't fall out. You just have to be really careful you don't get like their fingers or skin caught when you're doing up the buckles. I didn't do that, but I did get my own skin caught in it and it hurt, so that made me extra careful about that. When the baby is a little bit older, he can start to like kick his legs or arms, and any movement causes it to rock. But this one also has a button that makes the seat vibrate, and I definitely recommend getting one that has that button and vibration. When I first bought it, I thought, oh, I probably won't use it that much, you know, I don't want him to get dependent on it, but actually it's really, really good. Like, if the baby is fussing, and I don't mean like screaming his head off crying, I mean like if he's just starting to fuss, we call it starting to sour. But anyway, if your baby's starting to fuss and get a bit, you know, whingy, but you're like trying to get something done, this buys you an extra like 5, 10, sometimes even 15 minutes. So if you're like halfway through your dinner, you can just like switch the button on and you can finish your dinner before he's like completely crying and you have to like deal with it. That sounds really bad, but you know what I mean. So that's really good, and you can also like rock it with your foot, which is quite useful. My husband discovered that, and we have definitely been taking advantage of that. So my last favourite is something that I'm actually using at the moment. I'll leave all the information about this one in the description box below so you can see the exact information, but it is an app, and it is a white noise app. The app is just called White Noise, very imaginatively, and there are two versions of this. The normal version is free, and like the upgraded version is like 79p or something. It's really, really cheap, and it's definitely worth it. I started off with the free one, and basically what it is, it's just an app that has a selection of different white noises, and we use the, I think it's called like heavy rain pouring or something, and it's just the sound of like really loud rain against a window, and I put that on my phone, and I put it on through like I have a Bluetooth speaker that I put it on in the bedroom, and that kind of soothes him. Now the only difference I've noticed between the free version of the app and the 79p one is with the free one, while the app is running, so while the white noise is playing, you can't use your phone. You have to like stay on that app page, whereas if you get the 79p version, you can like pretty much do anything on your phone with the white noise still playing. So for me it's worth it, because like I can't like go through every single nap time without my phone. Obviously you can't like watch videos or anything that has sound on it, because that would interrupt with the sound. But also one thing to bear in mind is if your phone rings, it does like cut out the white noise app and ring. So if your phone is like attached to a Bluetooth speaker like mine, not only does it ring, it rings on the speaker, so that's a disaster. So tell people to like text you and you'll call them back, which is what I do. But I find the white noise really helps. I know this is another thing that some people are like really against, but as I said, it works for me, it works for us. It really like helps soothe him, and it's really helped to teach him that this is bedtime, this is time for sleeping, particularly in the evening. Like when it gets to evening time, we like dim the lights and I give him like a last feed. We put the white noise on while I'm feeding him, and he kind of drifts off during that time. And now at the age of like 4 months, pretty much, as I said, he's 4 months in 4 days time, he goes to sleep at 10 o'clock every night, and he wakes up pretty much between 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, which is really, really good. And then usually if I give him a little feed at 5 or 6 in the morning, he'll go back to sleep and sleep till about 8 or 8:30. So I really can't complain, it's really, really working. But yeah, I know it's not for everyone, but it's working for us. And it also means that like you can kind of do things without worrying about waking him up. Like you can cook or do the dishwasher, or you know, talk at a normal volume and watch TV without worrying about it waking up. And I know people say, oh, you know, you should be able to get your baby to like sleep through any noise, and I think he is starting to, because I'm starting to leave him in the creche at the gym every now and then, and there are loads of toddlers there, so he is sleeping, so it hasn't completely stopped him from sleeping without the noise. It just helps. It just gets him drowsy, it gets him to fall asleep a bit quicker and easier. And I think, like, if you can use these things to like make your life a bit easier, why not do them? They're not doing any harm. And I think if you're like well rested and have more energy, you'll be a better parent anyway, and when he's awake you can interact with him better. So those are my 6 newborn favourites. Let me know what you thought of this video. If you're interested in seeing more of this kind of mum and baby type stuff, I'm more than happy to do it. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I will leave details about all of these different products down in the description box below, so you can go have a look at them in more detail if you're interested. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I would love if you could subscribe to my channel. That way you'll get a notification every time I put up a new video, which is every Sunday on this channel. Usually I do vlogs, but we'll see how that goes. And I'll see you next time. Bye! He's supposed to be napping. But he's not. He's decided he wants to be part of the fun. Haven't you? Well, that's very rude. I don't think anyone really wanted to hear that, sweetheart. Is that what woke you up?